Very much for listening to us.
Fantastic. Thank you for the submission, and thank you for just reminding us that, you know, the challenges for people with, you know, visual impairment, for example, are significantly greater than they are for others. So thank you very much for that. Does anyone have any questions? I think you've made a powerful presentation, so thank you for doing so, and thank you. You've given us some things that we need to be thinking about. Thank you.
I expect most of you had to listen to that. You wouldn't have been able to see half my slides.
Eh?
Sorry about that.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
That would be terrible.
oh, it's like taking away half your room, isn't it?
Yeah, but they must maybe it's
You can only
the
see.
cross-eyed. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, do you know the toilets are programmed for renewal in 1920? There's a manager note here to say.
Perfect timing. Thank you. It's, page 96 on your submissions. Welcome.
Hi. Green means go, does it?
So, yes, it does.
I am representing Dunnymora Holdings, who are undertaking the Westmoreland development up the hill. They're on to some of the final stages of that now. They supported the council's proposed works back in 2014, I think, 15, 16, I think it was, to do the lights at Worsley's, Hoonhay and Cashmere Road. They were anticipating as a result of the consultation at that time that the road cones would actually be out now and work starting, and so I was surprised to find that it had been pushed out to, I think that's planned now to the 2019-20 financial year. They feel that the problems with this intersection that encouraged the council to bring the funding forward in the first place a couple of years or so ago are still just as relevant now, and they would prefer not to see the delay.
Thank you. That's very straightforward.
It is indeed.
I don't know that anyone's got any questions. Tim, I mean, I know what Tim would say, but but that would just...
I couldn't agree more, to be quite honest.
I know. This, I'm just trying to find... But anyway, look... Sorry?
Can I just check, in terms of no valid reason given, so have you contacted council staff, or have council staff contacted you to say that it's been delayed, or...?
Yes, we were, because we made a submission. The engagement staff contacted us in March this year to advise us that it was going to be delayed from when it was, and there was the comment was that the funding was still available, but it was just being pushed out. So they were just a little perplexed. There was nothing specific as to why, other than we assume it's a juggling of projects.
Right, but I'm just trying to understand why staff contacted you originally. Was it because you made a submission last year?
We made a submission when the design works were put out to...
Oh, right, okay. I got you. So the design's already been consulted on, agreed
It's all been consulted on, agreed, so at the time it was expected that they would be starting construction now when they did that consultation in I think it was 2016.
Yeah, I think the original decision was around the opening of the Christchurch Adventure Park, and then since which time we've had the Port Hills fire and damage to their infrastructure. And so it's a proposal at this stage to delay it as part of the draft LTP. So you're saying no, it needs to go ahead now anyway?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for your submission. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran.
Right, well, apparently we're ahead of time, and we've got one more to go, which is the East Lake Trust. He's going to come back at, he's going to get in by 5?
Yeah, he should get here by 5.
He's going to get here by 5, so if you want to take 15 minutes, or just talk amongst yourselves, we'll just adjourn the meeting till 5 o'clock. Thank you.
running for life, so
Thank you for coming in early. It's almost gobsmackingly unbelievable that we're running ahead of time, so it just doesn't happen. So it had to happen on this occasion, so thank you.
Thank you, councillors, Mayor, for giving us this opportunity to speak. I've been told that I should keep it brief and allow time for questions, so I will keep it very brief. Our essential submission is that provision should be made in the LTP for the lake, that nothing is done to preclude the possibility of the lake. It's not something that needs to be built today, tomorrow. We know that we'll be lucky to have cycleways or parkways, within 5 years. So this is a long-term project, and I think we need to realise there's a lot of water going to the bridge, and we should make a decision now, as we say regenerate have, that is going to preclude something that needs to be looked at in further detail. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is a multi-purpose lake. It's not just about rowing, it's about dragon boating, kayaking, open water swimming, rowing, triathlon, wakarama and yachting. We think that the reasons provided by Regenerate to date don't make a lot of sense. We've consulted with Regenerate over the last 3 years. We have talked to them about numerous issues in minute detail, largely to do with cost. We even argued about the size of the stones that would be the armouring of the side of the lake. That's sort of the detail we got into, but we never once talked about aquifer water being a problem. In our view, we'll use less than 3% of the aquifer water available. We never once talked about wetlands, space for wetlands. We certainly talked about the need for wetlands. We provided plans for wetlands. And as you can see from our plan there, that deals with a good 16 hectares, but there's room for the 31 that they require. We never once talked about the release of water from the river, rather from the lake into the river, causing flooding or erosion issues. In our view, the release of water from the lake into the river can be managed in such a way as that it will augment the flow when we've got minimum flow, and in addition can be held back when high flow and mitigate any erosion. The lake has proved extremely popular as a submission. As you may be aware, there's over 65% of the submission in Regenerate's own consultation last year were in support of a lake of some shape or form. That's out of 1,800 possible submissions. Since the decision of Regenerate to dump the lake from the exhibition, we started a petition which is now just on 4,000 petitioners in about 4 days, and that's building and building and building. We're going to be actively promoting the lake. We're not going to give up. I think about the cricket pavilion. We nearly lost the amazing facility we now have in Hagley Park. You all saw the television coverage of the English Test, amazing asset for Christchurch. We nearly lost that because of a few militant people. Similar thing is happening now, and we need to I think take stock. And so my final comment to the council, having significantly shortened my submission, is I think the council needs to show leadership here, ask the question why, what happened. This lake was on the books, it was going to make the exhibition for all money, and then suddenly it got chopped off. What happened? Were you properly consulted? What changed? Has the letter of expectation been met? Have they actually undertaken proper feasibility on this? Is it appropriate to knock out such a key part of a potential plan at such an early stage before the Minister even has an opportunity to make a decision? A number of issues rise. I was remiss, I didn't introduce Sophie Strawn, who's a landscape designer, architect, and who can help with any questions on wetlands. Helen Rutter is a hydrologist who can help with all the issues dealing with aquifer water and available water. Apologies. I also have Nathan Cohen with me. Some of you may recognise a New Zealand gold medalist in the 2012 Olympics. And Nathan, I think we just want Nathan to talk to the community aspect of similar lakes over in Europe and in the Northern Hemisphere, and in particular the benefit that he's observed to the local community just training and rowing on the lake. So Nathan, sorry to drop you on it quickly like that.
No, thank you, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to come along and I guess speak in terms of I guess some of the benefits of the East Lake Trust. You know, I guess for me, obviously I've had a direct relationship with some of these lakes in the wider global sort of scheme of things. But I thought I'd rather focus on some of the wider benefits that you generally see to the community in some of these other overseas locations that have these lakes. You know, obviously there is a direct benefit to, I guess, all flat water sports. I guess this has been well documented in the process of getting to this stage. But you know, I think there's also a bigger benefit to society, more than just the water sport users that will be using the lake directly. You know, I guess I've been very fortunate to spend considerable time each year training and living in near some very similar venues that like East Lake sort of propose overseas. There's a couple of ones that I'll focus on very briefly here. So there's the Bosbaan Lake, which is about 10 minutes from central Amsterdam in the Netherlands. There's Poznan and Poland there, so in the city there they've got a similar lake that's about 5 minutes from the city centre. And then a bit to the lesser extent there's Dorney Lake in Eton, just outside of London as well, which are all very similar, I guess, lakes to the one that's proposed by the East Lake Trust. I guess the things that strike me most about some of these venues is probably the large amount of non-water sport users that these lakes attract. You know, to give you an example, generally when you're out training early in the morning and the likes of that, you know, there's plenty of people out for their morning walk or their morning run around the lake. You know, even like to rollerblading and I guess all different forms of exercise. That I guess sometimes the lake becomes a bit of a focal point to generate, I guess, a point of you know, health and recreation. Probably, you know, during the day you'll see many people out, whether it's a lunchtime bike ride around the lake or a lunchtime run quickly and the likes of that. And then, you know, probably one of the more pleasing things you see is generally in weekends and like that, especially probably more in summertime, there's a lot of like families out having picnics or, you know, just kids out playing around the lake. It sort of becomes a bit of a centre point for the community to sort of meet and probably get out to the outdoors. And that's something you start seeing a lot at, is that sometimes the actual people actually on the lake are far outnumbered by the people using the surrounding lake for, I guess, a whole lot of more engaging activities rather than just direct water sport use. I guess in addition to that, generally when you've got a lake or a focal point of meeting place of the community, is it generally attracts, I guess, things like local cafes and restaurants that, especially in the weekends, you see are generally really busy. You know, I guess a lot of people in society now like having their coffee or lunch, whatever, overlooking water, or I guess sort of watching the world go by, or people watching and some of the lake users around that. You know, like I think, you know, you look at this, you know, there is direct benefits to the water sport users, but I think, you know, the bigger benefit to the community is probably more that it becomes a central point of, I guess, connection for the local community, and I guess it encourages people to socialise and engage in the outdoors, and, you know, there's also a place for, I guess, children to play in a safe and secure way. So yeah, that's probably just a brief overview. I'm more than, I guess, happy to elaborate further, you know, I guess on any experience I've had with some of the lakes overseas if required. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sorry, Aaron.
Just two quick questions, just as we head along. One that the public want to know, can you hold an international event on this, or is this a training lake?
No, you can hold a full international event on the East Lake. Perhaps probably David clarify that.
Yeah, so we've built it to, it's 2.2, 2.15 metres long, so it's 2,000 with runoff, so it'll be FISA spec, international spec. Obviously, so our view is always, if you're going to do the lake, you should do it full size. So you can hold international events as per the letter of expectation, though our view is that you wouldn't, in terms of the surrounding infrastructure, you know, sheds, buildings, etc., you might do that over time. So you sort of build the lake, you know, right, and then the greenery, the landscaping, all the extras can come over time. But
and is this also the facility that would bring Lisa Carrington to town to compete? Because that'd get a crowd.
Yes, absolutely. So while we have Nathan here, who's obviously a very well-known gold medalist, the whole point is that it's multi-purpose. So it's canoeing, kayaking, Ironman. So, you know, the Wanaka Ironman brings in 6 million just on a weekend. A Māori Cup has 7 million, you know. So our independent report, Deloitte, estimate 20 to 30 million per annum. And that's economic impact, which is basically motels, hotels, restaurants. You know, it's not a concession business. You don't pay a ticket to go in, but all the supporters need to do things. So it's an average of $250 per person a night, is well understood. So the benefits are enormous. It's not unlike, you know, the stadium argument.
I've got Tim Field here on.
So, sorry, Nathan, going away from the Lisa and yourself from the competition. I mean, one of the keys for me would be that this would be open to the community. So a family could take the plastic kayak or whatever they got from Bunnings and come down and just have a picnic and just play around on this. So that's at both ends of the spectrum, is that right?
Yeah, so generally, I'll let David speak around the East Lake Trust, but what you see in situations like that overseas a little bit is there's generally so at times, sometimes the lake has to be closed if there was, like you sort of mentioned, international regattas or large-scale regattas, but generally what you generally find, so when we're training on the lakes on a day-to-day basis, they generally buoy them out into different segments of the lake, so you might have 3 or 4 lanes which are for, I guess, kayaking or rowing, like, so that need the full part of the lake, and then there might be a recreational use area, and sometimes it might be for swim, it might be for, like you said, general community just to play around, and that's normally like sort of essentially buoyed off into a safe zone, so then that way you don't have the oncoming, I guess, rowing boats or kayaks that move quite fast over water, getting in the way of swimmers or, like you said, pure recreational users. So that's generally what I've seen is probably works best, is when there is a separate area on that.
So when you kind of like the Sunshine Coast and they've got those barbecues all the way along with the families, so you could actually do that type of thing here for families that can just turn up and...
Yeah, we're imagining that the sort of the walk that and cycleways that connect the city to the sea, so to speak, is those walkways will go past the lake, and there'll be picnic areas, stopping areas, and there may just be people who want to go there in the weekend, with their family and walk the dog, whatever. So it's the reason this is about regenerating the east of Christchurch, the red zone, and a good idea to do that is the lake. I get phone calls saying, if this doesn't go ahead, do you want to do it out in Styx Mill? And I go, well, nice idea, but no, because that's not in the red zone. This is about the red zone, and regeneration is about people. Flax bushes and wetlands are great, but how many people visit the Travis wetlands? I love the Travis wetlands, but I like to know what the numbers are. Nature walks are fantastic, but you need some action, you need some participation, you need something going on. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I walk around the Travis wetlands a lot. I'm one of the patrons, just saying.
I like it too. But
Phil and then Dion.
Thank you for coming today. Can I just ask you, just like there's been a number of reasons given as to why the Flatwater Lake hasn't been included as a project in the red zone. I'm just wondering if you can perhaps tell us your view of what you understand, or help me understand anyway, what the primary or actual reason is that hasn't been included.
Well, the media release gave 3 reasons, and I understand that the council were given 3 reasons. And I think we all know those 3 reasons. It's one that we will somehow, there's an implication that we will impact on aquifer water, that there's too much aquifer water will be taken. And Helen can probably speak to that, but we'll be taking about 46 million cubic metres a year. The total water available, I think, is 480 million. Helen, have I got that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a modelled number, so
yeah,
uncertainty around it, but there's a lot of water that actually moves through the system.
So you don't actually know how much is there, but the modelling is about 480 million, so it's 3%. So we dispute the first reason. The second reason is that they need the area where the lake is for wetlands, the wetlands to assist Horseshoe Lake with improving the quality of the stormwater. Our view is there's plenty of room for wetlands in and around the lake and other areas, and also there are more efficient ways to clean stormwater than wetlands. And so you'll see to the right of the lake there's actually what we call an algae scrubber, which is sort of a long, it looks like a stream or a lake on the right hand side where the water can pass over and be cleaned by algae. So there are lots of different ways that you can achieve the same ends more efficiently. The last reason given is that because it's an aquifer-fed lake and you need to turn the water over every 40 days and release the water into the river, that the half cubic that will go into the river will cause erosion through the additional water flow. So we're talking the average flow, I think, of the river is about 2 cubics. This is an extra 25%. We're saying, firstly, that's not a significant increase because 2 cubics isn't going to necessarily cause erosion. It gets up to 17 in a high flood event. And we're saying, secondly, the lake's like a big bath. You can let the water out, pull the plug any time. So if it was particularly low, you could actually release water to raise the minimum flow. And in fact, I'm involved in a dam project in Nelson where the whole purpose is to release water in low flow events to increase the flow. And equally, if it's very high flow or there are problems, you just hang on to the water a bit longer. So you can manage it.
So, David, if those reasons aren't valid, can you tell us what else?
Well, this is where there's been some controversy, and you would have read the article in the press at a recent meeting held, I think, on Tuesday, organised by Sport Canterbury. Ivan Iafita indicated 3 reasons given weren't sort of, to use his words, the real reasons, or words to that effect. And we've got people here at that meeting who can corroborate what occurred, that they were the reasons simply, I suppose, that the public would understand. There's some confusion as to exactly what was meant. Long and the short is that those are the 3 reasons, but also there's land use criteria, so they refer, the decision was based on the land use criteria, which if you dig into the bowels of the Regenerate website, you will find, and it's a weighting analysis that they would have applied. Weighted land use assessment, which includes cultural and social well-being, and we say that we would score very highly on that because of the ability to dilute and clean Horseshoe Lake and River through the aquifer water being released. Environmental enhancement, again, we think we would score highly on that for the water quality improvement aspects. Affordability and investment, this is really around activation, public funding, etc. We concede that it's not necessarily that easy to get investment in something like this. The benefit is a bit like the stadium. It's economic benefit, the 20 or 30 million a year. You know, you're not going to get an investor to put money in and get a return. It doesn't work that way. Visualisation activation, which is people arriving, visitors, hotel bed nights, travellers. We think we're a 5 out of 5 on that one. Accessibility, you know, getting the community involved, paddling, swimming. We think we're a 5 out of 5 on that. Connectivity, connecting, you know, the city to the sea. Well, we'll be a major attraction along the cycleway, walkway. So we think we're a 4 or 5 out of that. And then the other one, employment and economic activity. Well, you know, 20 to 30 million a year. Again, it's people working in restaurants, bars. You know, it speaks for itself. Achievable and deliverable. Well, it's been Regenerate agree that the project is feasible and is deliverable. So it's feasible, it's deliverable. You know, money is obviously an issue, but you know, I've been in so many meetings with Regenerate and Otakara. I said, look, if there's no money, tell me now, because I've been working on this for 3 or 4 years, and we're all busy, we're volunteers. You know, there's no money, tell us now. And they've always said, swear on the Bible, money is not the problem. You need to show us whether it's feasible. Money is the next question. So, you know, we are very disappointed with the decision made. It makes no sense whatsoever. The reasons given were not indicated, or we were early in our consultation. We've had no opportunity to respond to those reasons, those technical reasons. We've had very conflicting messages, and we feel that the council, I suspect, and you probably can't comment, are just as surprised as we are with this decision. We wonder whether the minister's surprised as well. So I think we need to start asking some questions.
Look, thank you very much for, as I say, coming in and presenting to us this evening. We understand the process that we're in at the moment, but I know that it was valuable for the councillors to hear your views. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Right, I now adjourn this meeting until 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. Sorry about that, team, but